What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're talking about a clone of one of my recent favorite new loves as far as designer pickups that I've had for this year. We're talking about Paco Rabanne's 1 Million Parfum. I had tried it in the past, been wanting to get a bottle, finally have a bottle, love it. My favorite, it's become my favorite version of 1 Million. It's my wife's favorite version of 1 Million. So when I saw Lattafa put out their version called Fakhar Gold, I was intrigued and I just had to try it for myself. Let me spend the 30 some odd dollars, right under 40 bucks, and see, is it a great alternative, something I can recommend to you guys that maybe don't want to spend 80 bucks or more, depending on where you find it from discounters, for this. And I have some thoughts that might surprise you. So let's talk about it. Stay tuned. So quickly, I mean, they love gold. I mean, clearly they were going for the gold look. Not the same style bottle, which I prefer that. If you're going to clone the fragrance, there's no reason to knock off the bottle. That's cheesy looking when you knock the bottle off, honestly. I have, ones that look like Elysium bottles and stuff. They're okay, but I think it's better to, create your own presentation, even if you're going to clone it, make your own twist, because this, we'll talk about scent in a second. Not exactly the same scent profile, but you can tell, at least based on the theme of the color scheme and the name being gold, they were going the route of something 1 million related. It just happened to be 1 Million Parfum. Now, when we talk about this scent profile, I have the notes on screen for you guys. So I'm actually currently wearing it. So immediately, it's going to get that bubblegum smell going that 1 Million's known for. So the biggest difference here is it's a little bit more of a sunscreen feel than 1 Million Parfum itself has. Like, this is a little bit fresher. It's lighter overall, which we'll talk about performance in a little bit, but the aroma itself is lighter. I get more of the almost like cocoa butter, coconut lotion, sunscreen type of feel with more of the creamy tuberose while still having a bit more freshness and more of this tropical beach vibe versus the original. Now, again, it has the bubblegum sweetness smell, but not as much as actual 1 Million. So that's kind of the twist. There's a little bit of spice going on here, hanging out in the backdrop. Like I said, very, very close. If I was to put a percentage on how accurate and how close, mainly how close this smells to this, I would say it's about 85%. Not quite spot on, but really, really close. You can tell they were going the route of 1 Million Parfum. There's no two ways about it. It smells really good, but honestly, it doesn't smell as good as the original. To be honest, just in the scent category alone, this is worthy of spending the extra money because it does smell better. It's a little bit more dense. It's a denser smell. It's got more of the original's DNA in it. It's got more of that playful bubblegum sweetness. And the aroma is just overall, that's the main thing for me, is the richness of the scent profile. This is a richer smell, and you feel like you're getting more for your money out of the scent profile. At least I do personally. So this does smell really good, and it does smell really close. But I think that sometimes you guys will hear me talk about the original having that little something extra, that little bit of magic that the clone can't capture. It's abundant here that they weren't able to capture, whether an intentional effort or not. They weren't able to capture the exact little something extra that 1 Million Parfum brings that Lattafa's version does not. Smells really good, just not as good. Now, in regards to performance, I was surprised. It's touted as an extrait, and it does last a really long time. 8 to 10 hour range is what I've been clocking it. But it sits a lot closer to the skin than I anticipated. Projection on here is not as heavy as you would think. It definitely, for being light and fresh early on, it wears heavier by sitting closer to the skin, or at least it fades to a skin scent a lot sooner. So hour to hour and a half of projection, even though the longevity is really good. 8 to 10 hours of longevity on skin. 8 to 9 hours typically is what I've been kind of timing it at. And then the projections, average arm's reach type of stuff. Hour and a half, and then the sillage, moderate to mild. It's not heavy whiffs that I get from time to time reminding me it's there. I could have a little bit of olfactory fatigue or anosmia going on. that my nose is just kind of wore out to it. That could be the possibility, a strong possibility that really does factor in. It's a true variable to consider. But based off of my time with it so far, I think it's just a little bit weaker than this overall. This does perform a lot better. So again, you're paying more, but just like I said with the scent, I think you're getting more with the original. So not some powerhouse, and a lot of people have come to expect powerhouses from Lattafa, so I could see that leading to be some sort of disappointment. Now, is it above average? Is it still a relatively strong fragrance that's going to get you through a work day and stuff like that? Even though not the best work fragrance because of the sweetness and that, you know, sunscreen feel, if you want to wear it to work, I get the longevity to get through most work days. It's a little bit more subdued. So I guess for office settings, if you like this scent profile, yeah, it would be ideal versus the original because that one's louder. But across the board, this is, I guess, above average to average. Above average longevity with average projection and sillage. So my final thoughts on Fakhar Gold from Lattafa Perfumes. Some of you are probably surprised with this assessment so far because I'm such a fan of this, and they did a really good job. I don't think they did a great job. This is not some of their best work. Again, they did a good job. They didn't do a great job because I would still 100% recommend, because I paid $77, I believe, for a 100 ml tester of 1 million Parfum. Comes in a tester box. Who cares? Throw the box away. Get the tester. Spend 70, 80, even 90 bucks versus this was close to 40. I'd say instead of buying a couple of cheapies that paycheck, save. Don't buy a fragrance that check, and save and get on the next paycheck. If you're trying to really get the most bang for your buck, I do believe getting the original is the best bang for your buck in this situation. With that said, if you really want to give it a try and being not as loud and a little bit fresher and not as heavy on the bubblegum sweetness, if all of that sounds like a really strong positive to you, then yeah, by all means check it out because I will wear it. I do like it. It's just I have such strong feelings for what it's cloning that I had to be a bit more critical about the clone because it's not like this is some $200 or $300 fragrance. This can be had for $70 to $80. Even if you want to go 50 ml route, you can get even cheaper. But I do think this is still very good. It's not as good as it could have been. I think it's a 7 out of 10 fragrance. I think that's a solid rating for it. I think it's very good. It's worth checking out. If you have the original, complete unnecessary purchase, pass on it. Unless you just really want to check it out and you're willing to spend the money to potentially not even want to reach for it moving forward. Because I'm going to reach for it, but to be honest with you, when I'm in the mood for 1 million Parfum, I'm going to wear the original, so it might not be as often. So if nothing else, I was able to pick this up to spend some time with it to just see, is it a worthy purchase if you have the original, or is it a acceptable substitute for the original? Acceptable substitute? Sure. Great substitute? No. I would say save up a little bit more money or spend a little bit more, however you want to look at it and go about it, and get the original. But it is still a very good fragrance, but this is an 8 to 9 range out of 10. Let's call it 8.5 and split the difference. Great, bordering outstanding fragrance for what it is. If you like this type of playful, sweet fragrance, it's way better than the clone. Well, that's my thoughts and feelings on Fakhar Gold from Lattafa Perfumes. Probably not the review you guys were expecting. Again, it's not a bad review. It is still favorable, but not as favorable as what I think about what it's cloning. So when it comes to cloning designers that aren't super expensive, you really got to show out. You got to show out even more than you would for the expensive niche clone. Because let's say they were cloning a Raja Parfums fragrance, okay? There's going to be a little bit more room for error on this $35 to $40 fragrance because what it's cloning costs anywhere from $300 to $1,000. Whereas in this instance, I paid $77 for what it's cloning, and what it's cloning is superior, literally, in my opinion, in every single category. So, again, it is a very good fragrance. It just can't touch what it's cloning. So buyer beware. If you have 1 million Parfum, my opinion, steer clear. Not worth spending the money. Use your 40 bucks elsewhere. But if you don't have this it is an acceptable substitute. It will do the job. It does a similar job, and honestly, in the high heat, it's a little bit fresher. It's better in high heat and humidity than this is. So I hope that was helpful for some of you. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, because I do appreciate all the feedback. And I love hearing from you guys. How many of you had this and tried it and have a similar assessment to mine? How many of you think I'm crazy and it's phenomenal, or think I'm crazy and it's terrible? Because I'm kind of falling somewhere in the middle, leaning closer to, you know, I gave it a very good rating. So I lean to the favorable side of being in the middle, to where I do think it's a good fragrance. It's just not it's a very good fragrance. It's just not a great fragrance. It could have been great, because for my taste, the original is great. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on Fakhar Gold from Lattafa and you give it a spray now, who knows? You might end up thanking me later. Have a good one, guys.